Welcome to Capitalize Your Finances, the podcast that's your ultimate guide to mastering personal finances and unlocking the secrets of entrepreneurship. Each week, we dive into the world of personal finance and business development and have fascinating conversations with industry experts, seasoned entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories to help you get ahead in life. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur looking to scale your business or someone just starting out on your financial path, this podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration and actionable insights.
Welcome back to Capitalize Your Finances. As always, I'm your host, Christopher Panayiotou, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about the dark sides of home ownership. Yes, there are dark sides to owning a home. But before we get into the episode, as always, the free advice for the week. And it's a quick one, so listen up. Investing does not reward the wise. It rewards the patient. I told you it was going to be quick. Now we are going to do the dark sides of home ownership. So the first thing I want to talk about is hidden costs. And I don't know why no one ever talked. Well, I've got an idea why people don't talk about this, because everyone is glued onto HGTV, and you think about flipping houses and earning a gargantuan rate of return. By the way, I have nothing against HGTV. Shout out to HGTV. It is a staple in the Panayiotou household. If our daughter is, which is a very rare occurrence, but if she is an absolute menace, we either superset with HGTV, Sing 2, or the Food Network. So HGTV, you've saved me a lot. But going back to the hidden costs of homes, no one factors in like maintenance and repair of things. So a lot of people, when you're looking to buy a home, obviously you got to know what the home's going to be worth. So let's say it's $500,000. You want to have at least 20% down if you can afford to do so, because you avoid private mortgage insurance, which is just a pain in the butt. So you got to put $100,000 down. And then you want to know off that $400,000 mortgage, as of this recording, let's say interest rates are probably 7.5%, give or take. Whatever that mortgage payment is going to be every single month, you need to know if you can afford that. Those are things that you can figure out pretty quickly before you actually buy the home. But for any of you that own a home or a condo that are listening into this, you know there are random things that come up all of the time. And they don't have to be big, but it doesn't matter if they're big or small. They are equally annoying. The roof may be leaking. Let's say your HVAC has got some issues. Let's say that your plumbing, let's say your toilet is not backed up, but like let's say that there's a water issue. Okay. If it's backed up, you just got to unclog that sucker. But the point is, there's all of these different maintenance and repair expenses that you've got to factor in. And so that's why I always stress on previous episodes, I'm going to stress again, the emergency fund needs to be in place. Now, this one, I put it down as hidden, but it's not really hidden because it hits you pretty hard in the teeth. Property taxes and homeowners insurance increases every single year. It's funny how that works, okay? Regardless if your home value increases or not. Now, I also mention this because a lot of people will come to me and go, Chris, this is like, older generations. I bought my home back in the 80s or 90s. I put X amount down and I've done the math and I have earned X rate of return on my investment. It's been a phenomenal return. I go, okay, well, did you factor in any home repairs or additions? No. Did you factor in the property taxes or homeowner insurance payments every single year? No. That will chew into the overall return of your home, whether you like it or not. So get the arrogance out of your teeth and just know that whatever your rate of return is on your home, it is not nearly as good as what you think it is. Also, and I'm probably going to talk about this again later on in the episode, your home, I'm going to get a lot of slack, not that I care. Your home is not an investment. Your home is a home. And until you move, your home is just that. So don't get it in your head of, oh my gosh, this is going to be my greatest investment return asset that I'm going to have. I can tell you the wealthiest people that I speak to, their home, they never treat it as an investment because they understand that their net worth can grow outside in the businesses that they own, maybe in the real estate holdings that they own, maybe in the private credit that they own. Their home is just that, a home. So why don't you copy the wealthy? Now, as far as another dark side of home ownership that you need to be aware of, unexpected market risks. So I know over the last couple of years, and by last couple of years, really since 08 or 09, I mean, unless you bought in like an absolute war zone, you've probably earned a really good return on your home value. But shocker, there could be a decline in home value due to economic uncertainties that we don't even know about. And even if you do think you know about it, you don't know. Like anyone that says that they can predict it, they've either got really lucky or they're lying, or both. Now, local conditions, obviously that's something, you can't control. And I say this because people have this idea in their head of, I'm going to get rich in real estate. That is completely wrong. It can be a tool. And it could be one of the tools where you could possibly have an assistance in growing your net worth, but not your home. And it's interesting. A lot of real estate professionals will come to me and they go, well, Chris, I made my money in real estate. I go, no, you made your money in the real estate business. You're in the business of real estate. So you didn't make your money on real estate. You made your money on your business. So just chew on that for a second. Now, another thing you need to think about before we go into the commercial break, difficulty selling in a buyer's market. So this is even aside from real estate. You want to have as many financial levers to pull as humanly possible, period. You want to have flexibility and you want to have arrows in your quiver to shoot whatever arrow, financially speaking, your heart desires. I don't know how many metaphors I can throw out in one sentence. So if you are all in on banking that your home sale at max price in record time is going to be your ticket, you are in for an absolute world of hurt. And also think about this. If you sell for top dollar and you're looking for a home to move into relatively close to your old home, you're also going to be buying at top dollar. It's all relative. And don't think that you are special in that regard. So with that, we're going to pause really quick. We're going to head on to the commercial break, and then we're going to close out with some really fun and exciting dark sides of home ownership that we have not gone over yet. So stick around.
Are you ready to transform the way you approach sales? This episode is sponsored by the second book in the Capitalize series, Capitalize Your Sales, the all-in-one sales framework that saves you from ever struggling again and teaches you how to sell with sincerity, which dives deep into the art and science of driving sustainable growth. Packed with strategies that go beyond surface-level techniques, this book will help you understand what it takes to truly connect with clients, build long-term relationships, and close deals. Whether you're looking to fine-tune your sales craft or break through to the next level, Capitalize Your Sales offers a roadmap to success designed for today's fast-paced business world. Head on over to your favorite bookstore, order today, and start capitalizing your sales immediately. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back to the show. We're going to get right into the thick of things with planning for future goals with that extra cash flow you have every single month. So one of the things that is highly overlooked until it really shouldn't be is saving for large expenses. So we're talking a house down payment, condo, car, education, just to name a few. So all things being equal, go back to what we were talking about before the commercial break. You've got this extra cash flow. You're putting your money in to get the match. That's a non-negotiable. Anything above and beyond that, you're either contributing to a high interest rate debt if you have high interest rate debt, and or contributing to your retirement contribution, continuously trying to max that out so you can retire that much sooner. Obvious. What isn't obvious is when you've got these intermediate type of goals, like a house payment, car payment, and we're talking down payment or education expenses. So what you'd want to do, and there's a couple ways to do it. A lot of people just say, hey, I'll take a couple $100 from my retirement account that otherwise would go toward retirement, and then I'll start to siphon that off to my savings account so that I can eventually save up for my car down payment or home down payment, whatever. I would like you to level that up a little bit. So what I would want you to do, and let's just take the car payment as an example, or excuse me, the home down payment, because that's a big one. I want you to think about when you're going to put a down payment on a home. I want you to think about the value of the home. And then based on the mortgage that you would take out, meaning, what's left over, how long it would take on a monthly basis to get to that down payment, and then take the appropriate amount from your retirement account or high interest rate debt, but for sure the 401k contributions, because you want to knock out the high interest rate debt before you make a big purchase like a home. And then you start setting that off to the side in your online savings account accordingly, because then you're getting very granular and specific on when you will have that money for that down payment. And then you've completely removed all of the emotional, unnecessary risk that most people succumb to when it comes to figuring out how to save for the large term expenses. Okay. And then lastly, you want to obviously know, as far as time horizon, what would be the best tool that you have at your fingertips financially where you could go and invest to earn the best rate of return given the unit of time in which you're trying to get that money to work for you. Say that 10 times fast. Now, another thing that you can think of too is, and it kind of falls in the same line of saving up for a large expense. If you're trying to save for a big trip or a hobby, and you don't really know how to go about it, very similar to the expenses, the large expenses we were talking about, you can set up a hobby fund or a travel fund. Now, some people get a little confused with this. And so what I've seen in the past is you have your checking account, you have your savings account. Anything above and beyond what you need in savings, people just know intuitively that money is going towards that large purchase of a home or a car, or education, whatever. I've also seen people set up a separate savings account, and I would still have an online savings account with that. And then that's like their travel or hobby fund, because as you're setting that money aside, not only do you know intuitively that is for your travel and hobby, it's not convoluted with the rest of your savings account, and then can get a little squirrely and distracting for people. And then lastly, what's kind of cool is, on top of everything else, your travel or your hobby money will earn interest until you pull that money out. So let's say after your trip or your hobby, you've made maybe a couple hundred, in some cases, a couple $1,000 on money that was just sitting there anyway. That's pretty freaking awesome. So don't overcomplicate it. If you need to set up one extra account, so be it. Now, giving back, charitable contributions, supporting your community, as you start to earn more, and not like once you immediately start to earn more, but once you start to earn more and after a while that you're going to be okay, like more than okay, you've got to remember that you have to be a steward of your hard-earned success. And I see people time and time again kind of get loose with their stringency with their money that's gotten them to where they are. And unfortunately, once you take your eye off the ball, that is when financially you are going to get hit and humbled so quickly that you won't know what to do with yourself. Now, you also got to think about it not only from a kindness of your heart perspective. There's tax savings and strategy in appropriately giving back, whether it's a nonprofit or a local initiative, things of that nature. So over time, this is kind of extra cash flow 301 or 401. You should be thinking about where you can go and gift that money to. And obviously, for those of you that are just starting out in the world of finance and you want to give money back, but you don't know where to, or sometimes you just feel like you're super constrained and you just don't have the money at the time, you also got to remember there are so many different ways to give back, and money is not the only way. You can give back your time, which I could argue is more valuable than any dollar that you could ever gift back. You could give back on, I give back through this podcast. I make zero money on this podcast. This is my philanthropic endeavor of the knowledge that I've been blessed with from the big man upstairs, and I try to gift as much of it to you as humanly possible. So there are tons of other ways to give back, but as this is a finance show, you got to think about over time where you could gift some of that money to, and you just got to be smart with it from a tax perspective. Now, let's say that you do want to gift back, but you don't know exactly where you want to go, but there are maybe a number of causes out there that are of interest of you. That is where we've seen this in our practice a ton. Donor advised funds come about, where this fund, basically you set it up, and then a lot of these nonprofits, what they do, or these foundations act on your behalf, and based on the list of nonprofits at their fingertips, you can kind of pick and choose. Or if you don't even want to pick and choose, and they kind of gift your money on a prorated basis through all of their charities that they gift to, they can do that as well. So donor advised funds and that is not just for wealthy people. That is for everyday people. It's pretty easy to set up. You could just go online, type in how to set up a donor advised funds, and I am sure Google will give you 15,000 pages in the 0.00039 seconds that Google can think. Now, the only flip side to that is if you are uberly obsessed with controlling your money when it comes to where you want to give it to, and specifically where you want to give it to within that organization, donor advised funds may not be the right option for you. And then not to get like too into the weeds, but like if you're making like BOCO bucks and you want to set up a foundation, but let's say you're really, really private and you don't want your name out there, well, foundations, you have to file a lot of things publicly. And so you've really got to think about how you're going to try to contribute back to society in the best way. Because sometimes the taxes they pale in comparison to how important privacy is to you. And I'm not going to go farther on a tangent with that, because I could go so many different directions. The last thing I want to talk about is treating yourself responsibly with extra cash flow, because it's a big deal. Like if you're just clawing and fighting and scratching, and you are living paycheck to paycheck for a while, which, by the way, that is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're not going backwards like some people are, that's a positive. And that is a natural evolution to your financial life. So just know that as a quick side note. But I see a lot of people, and I'm going to close this out after this next little segment with my own personal story of struggling with this, where as I started to break even after 8 years, which was forever. I know that can be quick in the grand scheme of things for some people, but I felt it. I freaking felt that claw, fight, and scratch. I was not able to appreciate a lot of that. So allocating a small percentage for fun or indulgence, just budget in breathing room. So I'll just tell you, so when people come into our practice, and let's say that they have $3,000 a month in free cash flow. I'm making this up. I will ask them, how much do you want me to show in your plan going towards something of prudency, meaning long-term, short-term needs, whatever the case is. And then the rest of it, I don't show in the plan, but I tell my clients, I know that you have free cash flow every single month of whatever that dollar amount is. So let's say it was $2,000 a month based on the $3,000 hypothetical. And so then over time, as they start to understand that, I don't actually need as much cash, then you toggle how much they invest every month and kind of go from there. But for you, if you're doing this on your own, which is totally fine, You just need to budget in that cushion. And then maybe once a quarter, you look at your situation and go, man, how in the world did I get all this cash? Well, it's because that's your free cash flow and you didn't really need it. So you either automate that away, maybe you pay off that debt that much sooner, maybe you set money aside for that hobby, or maybe you take some of that money and you just go on a really nice dinner or a really nice weekend getaway, something along those lines. It's totally okay to allocate a small percentage for fun and indulgence, but emphasize small percentage. Do not get overly comfortable with trying to keep up with the Joneses, because it's going to end very, very, very poorly, okay? Balancing enjoyment with financial growth is going to be something that many of you will struggle with forever. And this is where I actually wanted to close out this episode. I can tell you at the end of 2024, I've spoken about this actually a decent amount recently on past episodes. I was a guest on the Drummer Moon 5's podcast, and we talked about this a lot. I always set New Year resolutions for myself, personally, professionally, and then with my health and fitness. I've done that for years. And many of them are quantitative in nature. I want to get X amount of new clients or hit a PR in weightlifting, whatever the case may be. And a lot of those goals are stretchy, meaning I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to hit all of them. It's really going to stretch me. But if I get some of them, I know I'm infinitely farther ahead than 99% of peers or whatever the case may be. In 2024, I was proud professionally. It was the first year I hit every single goal. And my wife and I, every year we go out of town for a couple days just to unplug, get away. And on that trip, I actually just broke down because it hit me so hard in the fact that, like, I never knew what the cost actually was to getting to the level at which I strived to get at. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. It was worth it. It is so worth it. Never been happier than I am today. Super proud of that. But what I'm telling you is I forgot to value the qualitative aspects of the wins over time. And that did cost me. So I can tell you in the year of 2025, all of my goals for the first time ever are purely qualitative in my life. I'm not going to go through all of them because that's for another time. I can tell you it's scary for me because I am a quantitative guy. I mean, for crying out loud, that's what my show, my business, my brand is all about. It's about capitalizing on your finances, capitalizing on your sales, capitalizing on your business, okay? Those are all quantitative things. But the most valuable thing that I can look at is the quality in which I am achieving it, because now the quantity will take care of itself. So I'm telling you this because as you're starting to break through to that next level, you are going to become a slave to the love of the financial growth of things, the black and white numbers. It is okay to take a step back and breathe and appreciate what you have. And that's a lot easier said than done. And I understand that, but that's something that all of you are going to have to master, especially because you have the mindset that I do listening to this show. So with that, that is a perfect place to stop. And I had a blast researching this episode. I hope you had a phenomenal time listening into this. I will see you next week. As always, I'm your host, Christopher A. Paniotu, certified financial planning professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing. As always, thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about today's episode or any personal finance questions, please reach out to me at Cap and Capitalize on Instagram, Chris@capitalizeyourfinances.com, or via our website, capitalizepodcast.com. If you want more Capitalize Your Finances content, head on over to capitalizepodcast.com and check out our blog, free resources, book, and online course. As always, I'm your host, Christopher A. Panayiotou, Certified Financial Planning Professional, the Cap and Capitalize. And until next time, keep capitalizing.
The information provided should not be considered specific tax, legal, or investment advice and is not specific to any individual's personal circumstances. Each taxpayer should seek independent advice from a tax professional based on his or her individual circumstances. These materials are provided for general information and educational purposes based upon publicly available information from sources believed to be reliable. The information in these materials may change at any time and without notice. There is no guarantee that any investment strategy will meet its stated objective. All investments involve risk, including potential loss of principal. Examples cited are hypothetical, are for illustrative purposes only, are not guaranteed, and subject to potential federal and state law amendments. There's no guarantee that you will achieve the results discussed or illustrated. Diversification strategies do not ensure a profit and cannot protect against losses in a declining market. Christopher Panayiotou is a registered representative with and securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. Capitalize Your Finances LLC is a separate entity from LPL Financial. Capitalize Your Finances is not registered as a broker-dealer or investment advisor. CRPS conferred by College for Financial Planning. Any other individual or company mentioned in this podcast are not affiliated with Capitalize Your Finances or LPL Financial.